Did you know space is completely silent? That's right. If an astronaut ever farted in space, no one would ever hear it. Talk about the perfect crime. Now let's take a cosmic journey back in time to the dawn of space exploration. Picture this. It's the mid-20th century, and the USSR and the USA are locked in a high-stakes race. Not for gold or glory, but for the stars themselves. And who would have thought that the first living being to orbit our planet wasn't a human, but a dog? Yes. Laika, the first dog in space, was actually a stray picked up from the streets of Moscow. If she could talk, she'd probably say she went from rags to rockets in a snap. Now that's what I call a bark to the future. So next time you see a stray dog, just remember, it might just be the next out-of-this-world superstar. Moving forward, we have the infamous moon landing. Or should we say the infamous moon studio? Just kidding, we're not opening that can of conspiracy worms today. The year was 1969. A time of bell-bottoms, peace signs, and one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The Apollo 11 mission, led by American astronaut Neil Armstrong, took flight on July 16th, and 4 days later, Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to set foot on the moon. Now that's what you call a summer vacation to remember. But the moon wasn't just a one-hit wonder. It saw a total of 6 manned missions from 1969 to 1972. That's right. 12 astronauts have moonwalked, and no, we're not talking about Michael Jackson's famous dance move. But here's where things get a little messy. Literally. You see, our lunar pioneers weren't just leaving footprints behind. They also left a bag of trash. You heard it right, folks. The moon, that celestial body we gaze upon in the night sky, is also the universe's most exclusive landfill. Now, before you start calling the space cops on these lunar litter bugs, let's put things into context. This wasn't your everyday trash. It was more of a mix of used equipment, empty food packets, and human waste. That's right, human waste. The astronauts had to lighten their load for the return journey, and well, every little bit helps. So they did what any resourceful space traveler would do. They left behind their trash, making them the first, and so far only, litter bugs of the moon. And you thought your neighbor was bad for not recycling. But don't worry, there's no space version of the Environmental Protection Agency issuing fines for littering. Yet. So the next time you're thinking about not picking up your trash, just remember, you're in good company. Even astronauts do it. Ever wondered what astronauts wear or eat in space? Well, it's not all high fashion and gourmet meals, let me tell you. When we think of space exploration, we often picture astronauts floating around in their shiny, high-tech suits. These suits, however, have a rather humble beginning. The earliest spacesuits were modeled after high-altitude pressure suits worn by pilots in World War II. And trust me, they were far from glamorous. They were bulky, uncomfortable, and looked more like deep-sea diving gear than anything else. Over the decades, spacesuits have evolved and adapted, becoming the sleek, white marvels we see today, designed to protect astronauts from the harsh realities of space. But let's not forget about the food. The first space food was a far cry from the freeze-dried, vacuum-sealed meals astronauts enjoy today. Picture this. You're floating weightless in outer space, and you're hankering for a snack. You reach for a tube, much like a toothpaste tube, and squeeze out a glob of beef and vegetables. Yes, it's true. The first space food was squeezed out of toothpaste-like tubes. Not exactly a 5-star dining experience, is it? And while we're on the topic of space oddities, let's talk about the infamous space pen. You've probably heard the tale of how NASA spent millions developing a pen that could write in zero gravity, while the Russians simply used a pencil. Well, that story, though amusing, is a bit of a myth. The space pen was actually developed by a private company and sold to NASA, and it wasn't just designed to work in zero gravity. It could also write underwater, over grease, and in extreme temperatures. So if you're ever in need of a pen that can do it all, look no further than the space pen. So, if you ever fancy a squeeze of shrimp cocktail from a tube or writing upside down, you know who to thank. Now that we've covered the past, let's rocket into the future. And no, we're not talking about flying cars. Yet. So, what's next for space exploration? Well, let's just say, if you thought walking on the moon was a giant leap, buckle up, because we're about to take a quantum jump. First stop, Mars. NASA's Mars 2020 mission, with its Perseverance rover, is already paving the way, gathering data and snapping Martian selfies like a cosmic influencer. But we're not stopping at sightseeing, oh no, we're planning to set up a permanent address on the Red Planet. Yes, you heard that right. The future of space travel includes commuting to Mars for work and maybe even for a Martian summer vacation. And here's where it gets really interesting. NASA isn't just sending astronauts and rovers to Mars, they're also planning to send, wait for it, a helicopter. Yes, a helicopter on Mars. It's called Ingenuity, and its mission is to test powered flight on another planet for the first time. Ingenuity is like the Wright brothers flyer, but for Mars. So if you're having a tough day, just remember you could be a helicopter trying to fly in an atmosphere that's only 1% as dense as Earth's. Beyond Mars, space agencies are setting their sights on the outer reaches of our solar system, and even on exoplanets orbiting other stars. We're talking about missions to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and telescopes so powerful they could potentially spot signs of life billions of miles away. The future of space exploration is vast and exciting, filled with possibilities we can only begin to imagine. From colonizing Mars and flying helicopters on alien worlds to searching for life beyond our tiny blue dot, we're on the cusp of a new era of discovery and innovation. So next time you're stuck in traffic, just remember, at least you're not trying to pilot a helicopter on Mars. The history of space exploration is an interesting tale of our desires to, quite literally, reach for the stars. And as you've seen, it's only just begun. We've traversed the Cold War's space race and its competitive yet historic strides, probed the moon landing's mysteries, and savored the development of spacesuits and food. We've even peered into the future of space exploration. Our interstellar voyages will continue for generations to come, so buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Remember, space may be the final frontier, but our imaginations are limitless. Please be sure to like and share this video, and comment down below what you'd like to see talked about next. And don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, friends.